high-end cars, you are getting delivery in 5 months, 6 months. Why? Because there are huge electronic components in the car. Today, EV, for example, I mean, we could have done much better in the country, but electronics components are not available today. The capacities take 5 years to build, but the demand became so high because of the COVID that work from home, digital consumption, that everybody wanted to use data, and therefore you need more electronics, right? You are watching OTT, so you need televisions, you are at home. So the whole consumption in the world, not only in India, it went multiple times. Computers, for example, the phones, the smartphones, right? So it created such a huge gap between demand and supply in electronics. It's still not over. I can tell you that still we are not over. We are still able to manage that sort. Sometimes you manage the problem, right? So today we are just able to live with the problem. We have not been able to resolve the problem. And that's something really is an issue. Now, let me talk a little bit more about it. Now, what did government do actually during COVID times later on? I think you must have heard about PLI, for example. Now, all sectors in the country. Now, which sectors are we talking here? Which will help us to grow as a company, and each of you individually, while you move forward in your life, So government released a lot of PLI, a lot of schemes in infrastructure sector, e-mobility, oil and gas, energy, hydrogen, battery manufacturing, right? So when you look at EV, solar, I think this is a future. The clean energy, which is our commitment to the Paris climate meetings, that is going to drive a lot of business in the country, right from wind to solar to battery to EV. And I think there are a lot of opportunities you guys are going to get. Get yourself focused. The country is for a change here, guys. And if you can take advantage of this opportunity right now, there's no tomorrow for you. I can tell you that with my experience that, it's the best time to be born in the country or to be graduated in the country at this point of time. I remember when we went for the campus a couple of years back, it was very difficult to get a job, even from ISC. We had only software companies, Tata Boros and TCS and stuff like that. Today, if you look at the 63 different verticals are being invested in the country. And therefore, the opportunities are across the board. What you need is how are you prepared yourself? Not only from the education that you get, but individually. I think they're celebrating our speech, is it? Okay. Okay. So also so this is one area that I would urge each of you to read about it. I know when you are studying, you have many other distractions, but I think you must read about what's happening in the country, what is changing in the country. It's not the same India it was 3 years back. It is a different India today, it is different India 3 years down the line. So if you don't realize it, if you don't make yourself ready for this change, you will lose the bus. So there's enough opportunities, as I said. Another couple of points, for example, which you must have heard, but I want to talk about it, is the components manufacturing. If you look at what is India's problem today as a country, India has a huge trade deficit in terms of import and export. And what are the top import bills that you have today in the country? The oil. You can't do much about it because you don't have the reserves, right? You are dependent on Saudi or Russia or somewhere else. You are still importing the oil. The next two I will talk about it. One is electronics manufacturing. So if you look at electronics, we import smartphones, we import a lot of displays, we import a lot of stuff. So government took an initiative 3 years back that we will not stop, but will reduce the imports. And today what's happening? I don't know how many of you read the Economic Times today, $5 billion of exports on iPhone alone, just one company, right? 7 billion overall smartphone export from the country. It's a new plant which is coming in Karnataka, 300-acre plant coming, biggest by Foxconn, by the way. That's an opportunity. And that would mean that we should touch $10 billion of exports for smartphones from the country. In next, not many far away, 2-3 years. And what will it do? It will give 30,000 people employment only in one factory in next 3 years. Are you guys ready for that? I mean, that's the question. Do you have the right mindset? Do you have the way to work hard? Do you have the analytical skills with you? Right? Do you have some right guidance in your college or at home or your friends or in the companies, So I think that's something you guys should look at. I talked about COVID. So how did we do? So this is about the external environment, which we cannot control as a company, business managers. We can react to it, right? I mean, it is between the political leadership and the global leadership who drives these initiatives. And I'm very happy that as a business manager also, we are at the right place at the right time, because we're getting the opportunities, we are making use of it in trying to get the business for us. And how did Rital react to the post-pandemic? I think when we realized that there's a lockdown, we had a task force of senior leadership, and we were almost meeting on daily basis. All safety protocols were there, and we were able to manage our cost structure. So that's the best part, that when your sales are down, let's understand that every month we do a sales, and there's a profit you do every year, every month. And if you don't do sales in a month, your fixed costs are still happening. So what happens to the profit? Now they go away, right? And we're not a charity organization. We're not an NGO. We are a profit-making multinational companies. And it happened in the quarter 2 of 2020. No sales, all cost. And that really put a lot of pressure on Rital. Then what do we do? A lot of companies I can name who practically closed down. MSMEs, they said we can't. A individual-driven company, you can't survive, right? 3 months, no sales, no profits, loss, banks are not giving you loans, you don't have the people. What do you do actually? The best thing is you sit at home, do nothing. But Rital, fortunately, it's a German company. We had a good management, we had a good liquidity with us. We said, yes, we will not hurt our people, we'll keep them paying salaries and every other cost, and we recovered after quarter 3. So this is something which we did, at Rital, and so what happened, we have 82 countries in Rital, and we got an equivalent of Oscar award last year for managing the COVID situation. So Rital India was recognized as the best managed company, and this is again because of our people and the external situation, which is the economy. We don't work in isolation. If India does well, we do well. And if we do well, you guys do well. Let's understand there's a huge chain which is there in the country. And if one of the chain is weak here, then it's a problem for the country. Today, I believe that the chain is working beautifully. You have the investments, you have the companies who are willing to take that advantage, create jobs, and if you guys are really at it, there's no reason that you would not get the job of your liking in next couple of months. It's up to you. Markets have thrown the opportunities, it's up to you. How do you go to the market? A couple of points before I close and I take the questions. I was just thinking, what is it that you should not be doing as young people? I think, we get into a lot of pressure, of peer pressure, family pressure. And my opinion, maybe I sound a little rebellious at times, even in my own, but I said, don't listen to anybody. You are young guys, you have your own mind. Focus, but do what you think is right for you, for your family, for your country, for yourself, right? I think that's important. A lot of times we all get bogged down by the pressures, My friend has done this, so I got to do this. My parents are saying this, so I must do this. So just handle it carefully. Don't come under pressure. And couple of do's which we should do is learning and listening, and that's important. That at this age you can say, what is there to learn for Bhargav? 38 years in the industry. But I can tell you practically on daily basis when I meet either people at your level or Dinesh or somebody else, there's huge learning. The learning could come from the listening, right? So listening ability is very, very critical. I'm sure you have professors who will teach you a lot of things, but sometimes, we just don't listen. We just hear it out, right? So I am saying, listen very, very carefully what is being said by your seniors, by your professors, by business leaders, right? Because they come with a lot of experience and they have no other interest. Their only interest is to make you successful. I tell you, if you guys are successful, India is successful. And that's very, very critical for you. Hard work, I believe that at any level, there's no replacement for it. Whether you're a student or you're a director or you're a managing director, there's no replacement. I mean, you can be any intelligent from IIT, ISC, IIM, whatever it is, it doesn't work. That's just an entry point. After that, what works in your favor is your ability to slog, your ability to do hard work, your analytical skills, right? So keep that with you forever, that you should be looking at, am I spending 10 hours in the office, for example, or I'm studying if my job is to appear for competitive exams, am I doing the right things? Am I doing justice or I'm just fooling myself, you know. So that's important that, and challenge the status quo. I always believe that don't accept the way it is, things are. And I say in the company, same thing, you know, if you accept the way things are, I think you're not going to go anywhere. And that's where the startup culture comes in. And I met some of the colleagues here. You know, I don't know how many of you know that there is almost on a daily basis one startup is being created in India. But who is creating them? Someone out of you, right? And that's very critical that, and how does that create it? If you look at any example of successful startups, I think they have challenged the status quo. Was it Ola or Swiggy or Baiju or anybody else? They are the big companies, but you look at next level companies and everybody has challenged the status quo. It could be in technology, it could be process management, it could be a business delivery, which you have seen a lot of customers. So I think that's important that, you know, that you challenge the status quo, and that's the way it is. And I'm sure all of you watch the Shark Tank, right? I'm sure, you know, all of you had time to look at that. And what do you learn from there, actually? And what do you learn? I have just noted a couple of points. You know, because you are at a stage, I think most of your MBA graduate, if I understand correctly, are doing that graduation. I think once you do a case studies, look at the market segmentation. Which market, which customer? So very important for any marketing guru to tell you that if you are segmenting correctly, then you know where to pitch in your products and what is the value you're creating for the customer. And that's very important. The VOC and the value to the customer, I think that's very, very important. And just I'll give you some data now. Last 2 minutes, right? I have 2-3 minutes, yeah? Okay. So I again want to tell you that you're graduating at a time which no other generation in India has been able to do that. I mean, you're very fortunate. That's what I can say. I tell my daughters that, I have 2 daughters, by the way, so I tell them that, and I think I envy of you because I was born at a time when we didn't have the opportunities, right? But this is the time that you have, you know, you're lucky, I would say, that you're born at a time when you have opportunities everywhere. You know, you look at any sector. I mean, I would like to ask this question later on, that tell me a sector which is not growing in the country. And somebody asked me this question, when a journalist asked me this question, like, can you tell us what is the sector which is not growing? And to be very frank, I didn't answer that question. Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer. In my opinion, everything is growing in the country, and that's a beautiful sign of a country. Just some numbers, I'm sure you would have read it, but I want to close my talk with some of the numbers which I think we got $500 billion foreign direct investment in last 8 to 10 years, $500 billion. Where does it go? It goes in setting up manufacturing units, right? It goes in hiring people. It goes in creating digital infrastructure for the country, whether it's 5G or whether it's a 4G, etc. $500 billion in last 10 years. And I think in next 5 years, we'll have another $500 billion investment coming to the country. It's the foreign direct investment, which is coming to the country here. And why it is coming to the country? Because of you, because of the talent that we have. I talked to so many people internationally. I was with the Danish ambassador last 2 weeks back, and he said what we like about India is the talent in India. But the talent has to be nurtured, right? And you guys have to showcase as an Indian representative, whenever you take a job, that you are able to do that. By the way, the COVID year also we got $80 billion investment, which is unheard of. No other country got it. We got $80 billion investment in the COVID year in 61 sectors, as I said, and 31 states. So what else you want to hear now? GDP, right? $3.5 trillion GDP. What is our rating? 5th largest GDP. Very close to Germany right now, which is my parent company, and I tell my bosses that we are going to cross you next year, right? So we are going to be 4th largest GDP. I mean, what does it mean? I mean, it's not a number, I can tell you that. Your per capita income in India is $2,500, right? If you can convert, somebody can convert to the rupee, which is almost 5 times lower than China, or 8 times lower than China, right? So we have so much opportunity to earn more. The reason is that 30-40% people don't work in the country. That's a problem. So therefore, few people work, they pay taxes, and rest of the people are not working in the country, right? So this is important that all of you get to what you want to do. I talked about per capita data consumption, digital transaction, startups, you know, that we are top 3 the unicorns, and you know what is unicorn, right? I mean, this is all startups, and most of them are MBA graduates out there. So I think this is some of the points I wanted to make, that post-pandemic, India has become a new country. So one has to look at, I think it's a different phase, like AC/DC, right? You say that, what happened before Christ and after Christ. I would say we will always talk in the world before pandemic and after pandemic. And this is after pandemic. Whosoever is graduating after pandemic, I think there's no end for opportunities. I think I want to see a couple of you getting into the startups. You have an access to the opportunity today. What you need to do is use digital platforms, use networking while you are in the college, right? And use the right logic, right segmentation to prepare a business plan, talk to your colleagues. There are many forums. I'm sure some of you are in that forum, which is the angel investors forum, for example, right? I mean, you have to learn from there. I mean, you spend your time there and trying to understand how people are getting the funds, who is funding them, right? And why people are getting funds, some are not getting funds, because of the solid business case that is being prepared by people like you, maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line, right? So I also just want to close it by saying that, I'm very happy to be here. And thank you, Mr. Harish, for inviting me. And if anybody wants to have any questions or discuss, if not today, sometime later, I am available. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, the forum is open for question and answers. Students, volunteers, please give the mics to the students. Volunteers. Sorry, listen. Not here. Yeah, volunteers, please give the mic.
Hello.
Yeah, Balaji, please use the mic and ask the question.
My name is Balaji, MBA first year. My question is, how did your company the pandemic? What are the challenges the company faced due to the pandemic in employees' productivity?
Yeah, good question. I think, so we lost productivity. I think during that year we had low productivity, and the reason was that you had to follow a lot of norms, COVID norms, in terms of distance being maintained. So the work that was coming out of the factory was lower. Very good question you have. So there's no good answer for that. The only answer I would say is that you're right that we lost productivity during 2020, but we caught it in 2021 and 22. We are much better off. If I had to give you the numbers, we improved our productivity by almost 8 to 10% in 21 and 8 to 10% in 22, whereas in 2020 we were flat. So we did not improve our productivity in 2020. Actually, because we had to follow a lot of government norms in terms of the distance being maintained between two people, etc., on the shop floor. So it was a very challenging situation, and we lost productivity and we lost some profits because of that. Absolutely right point.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other question? Volunteer, please, here. Take the mic.
Good afternoon, sir. You gave us a very good insight. So my question is this simple. After COVID-19, that post-COVID-19, how do your business manage to come back to the ecosystem, to form the tuning of a organization that to face, like let it be a consumer or a supplier or a human resource, or how do you manage to get upon that through your strategy? This is my question. Thank you.
Can you repeat?
The ambience which you created after COVID-19. I mean, during COVID-19, the people has to work from home. So getting back to school, we say after summer we have to get back to the school. So getting back to the people in the organization is also a difficult task. So how you people manage to do that?
So I mean, you asked a question which is very sensitive for people, right?
Yes, sir.
But I think we have a good, I would say, hybrid model. Lot of work that we do in Rital, I don't know, some of you should come to our factory, is lot of manual, lot of work in the factory. So there is no option but to come to the factory to do that work. So let me tell you frankly, we did a survey. And after 2020, we did a survey with a lot of employees and we said, what do you want to do? You want to operate from home or you want to come to the office? And you will be surprised that a lot of people opted to come to the factory for whatever reason, and reasons are very different. Some people said that, they're not able to get a social connectivity with the people, because they have a lot of friends in the factory. The second was some people had a smaller homes, for example, right? Or the digital connectivity was not very good. So there are different reasons. But overwhelmingly, people said that if given a choice, we want to come to the factory. So that is how it happened. So everybody came by choice. We didn't force people. Some of the people still, when they say that, we have, a family issue or some ladies, they have to take care of their kids, etc. So we allow them to operate from home. But most of the people are back to the office right now.
So what do you think it's more effective kind of production, sir? Getting into office and working or work from home?
As I said, it has to be hybrid. It has to be company to company. There's no answer for that. What is good? Like today, IT companies are still work from home. My daughter, who is in Zynga, is a gaming company. She is still going once a week to the office, and they are pretty happy with that because companies are saving a lot of money. By the way, you should know that when companies say you work from home, it is not by being liberal to the people. The companies save a lot of money in terms of transportation, in terms of the canteen, in terms of many things. So there's a win-win situation here, right? So when companies say that I allow you to work from home, it is in the interest of the company, right? So every company takes his own call. Right now, there's nothing which is good or better. Every company has to make his own processes to deal with the situation.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Gagan, you have a question? Please give the mic to him.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Gagan. And my question is, can we say that businesses are redefining the business model based on their experience after COVID?
Business? I can't hear.
Can we say that businesses are redefining the business model based on the experience gained after COVID, sir?
Yeah, so of course it is, but again, you have to look at sector to sector. Now, some sectors have redefined the business models post-pandemic. In a digital space, a lot of business have been redefined in this space. But a lot of business which were very conventional, they have come back to the normal. For example, you take aviation industry today, right? What has changed in aviation industry? It had the problem, but suddenly it came back. Much more travelers today traveling by flights. So process has come back to the normal. Same thing in the factories, the process come to normal. A lot of digital companies, I would say, which are like gaming companies, it could be ITES companies, etc. They realize that it is good to continue to work the same way they worked in the COVID time. So some business processes got redefined, for sure, but a lot of businesses came back to its original shape with much more volume, I would say. Yep.
Greetings to the respected dignitaries on the audience. My name is Akash. Sir, my question is on economy. So, firstly, I want to thank you, sir. You got a very good insight. You enlightened us in your session. So, my question is, so mentioning about recession. So now, see, in India, we have very good youth population. At a time, youth is getting towards, getting into the industry. Most of the youth in this time particularly. At the same time, we are also facing recession. We see many big companies and laying off employees. So we see like Facebook or maybe Amazon or many big companies. How we as a country address this problem?
Yeah, so valid question. So we have two sides of this coin here, right? If you look at the IT companies, Amazons and Microsoft and Google, they have laid off a lot of people globally, right? And India is a global center of technology work, and therefore India will get affected, no question about it. And there you are seeing that, right? A lot of people in US and in India and other countries have been laid off. Right now, this is a reality, right? We must face it. On the other side, if you look at the manufacturing space, there's a continuous growth of hiring happening. It was other way, if you look at till 3 years, 4 years pre-pandemic, it was a different situation. A lot of companies, manufacturing were not able to hire a lot of people, but it is service companies were hiring. And this is one change which has happened post-pandemic. Why these guys are laying off, I can't answer for them. As somebody asked this question, has something changed there? In my opinion, they have become more efficient, and once you become more efficient, you can get away with some people. And that is the benefit they got, and it came down heavily on the people, whether it's Indian people or US people. You know, so it's a sad situation that you see today in IT industry. I think it will get streamlined, in my opinion. I think people are having knee-jerk reaction. You know, it's like a herd mentality. If Amazon is removing, I'll also remove. And you know, this is what is happening, and still they're able to manage good profits. The works are happening. Right. So I think these companies learned to deal with more efficient way of working, and therefore they could get away with the people. Right now, manufacturing is different, and I was talking more about manufacturing here because I come from that background. That in manufacturing, I don't see any problem. Not today, but next 10 years or 5 years at least, I can tell you very clearly that you name a vertical and you will have huge amount of jobs there, right, at all the levels, right, from ITI to diplomas to engineers, MBAs on level of business analytics, etc. I mean, you guys need to differentiate yourself. That's important, right? How do you differentiate? India will remain a country of too much of supply and less demand, right? Let's face it. It's never going to happen that like Germany or like Japan, for example, you don't have people, right? The growth is negative in Japan, for example, so you don't have people. So if there is a job being created, you can get job easily. In India, we are not there. So if you have 100 jobs, you have 500 people for the job. And some of them will not get the job they want. But I would only say that you differentiate yourself. How do you differentiate yourself? It's up to you. How do you want to become better? Your competition is with you, and competition is with general, population. So if you do better and better, you will get what you want actually in life. So that's what I would say. So manufacturing, no problem. You have huge investments, and I said there will be $500 billion investment already happened last couple of years. Another similar level will happen. I mean, you can hear daily that the single plant by the Foxconn and Vedanta, which is coming in Gujarat, is going to pump in what, $20 billion investment, one plant in the next 3 years for component manufacturing. This is one example. There are another empty number of examples in hydrogen, in wind. If you see that we are trying to put what, 250 gigawatt renewable energy in the next 5 years, and each megawatt we are looking at a couple of $1 million of investment. So when you put 250 gigawatt, right, do we understand how many zeros are there in gigawatt, right? So you multiply it, you find that there's $1 billion of investment happening in that vertical as well. So there is a huge investment in the manufacturing side. And that's where the life will be in future.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Gausia. My name is. And my question is, post-pandemic, what should be our priority, upskilling or reskilling?
Both. That's the best answer I can give you. It's very difficult to say what you need actually. Different companies have a different way. I mean, we do both of them, right? In Rital, for example. But for us, it's more about growth and growth and growth. Of course, the productivity does come in there. So a job which you take today 8 hours to do tomorrow, it is expected that you do in 7 hours. So the two options there, right? Either you cut down the people or you grow faster than the productivity, right? So the path that we have chosen in India, or not only Rital, but India manufacturing, we grow faster than the productivity. So if productivity, which is in India, is 7-8% per year, if you grow at 15-16%, then you keep hiring people. Because productivity cannot compensate manage the growth that is expected, right? So this is how we manage it. That growth should be higher than the productivity, and that means you have to, for productivity, you have to rescale. For growth, you have to upscale.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
I have one question. Sir, I want to ask you that since you are leading the MNC and you have faced the challenge during the COVID period, so I want to know that how far we are going to carry the banner or the tag of COVID in each and everything, conference post-COVID, workshop post-COVID, everything, it has become a style of post-COVID. How far? And we are seeing we are seeing that again the COVID cases are increasing. What we are going to tag that?
Yeah, as I said in my pitch, that this is the reality that COVID is an era, so it's not going to go so easily. We'll always talk about post-pandemic and pre-pandemic because this is something we never realized. We only seen in the movies. I think some of you would have seen the movie where similar COVID had happened, and there is a huge lockdown in the world because of the COVID. So this is reality. We never thought till March of 2020. We never thought that something like this can happen, that the country is completely locked down, right? So this is once in century, possibly. I hope so. It doesn't happen again. So that era will remain. Now, in the future, I think we don't have to worry about it because of the fact that, especially in India, our immunity levels have gone up. So even if there are cases of 6,000 per day, we see so many serious cases actually because of good vaccination drive in India, and also our immunity as Indians, in my personal opinion, we are more immune to a lot of European and US because the way we live is not, how US. So COVID era, what you rightly said, possibly till we are alive, we are going to hear that.
Any other question?
One more I'll ask, sir. Still, I would like to advise our students, still they are in online mood. Still we are seeing the less and thin attendance in our colleges. So say a few words to them that they can come back here and they can learn more. Just few words of advice to them, sir.
Yeah, so as I said, I think online is a good platform for learning. I mean, all of us know that. But there is no substitute to physical presence, in my opinion. We have seen in the office. In Rital, at least I can tell you, our productivity has gone up dramatically. Our learning abilities, our ability to socially mingle with the people has gone up tremendously. So if you're not in the college, for whatever reason, I don't know, there cannot be a good reason that why you're not in the college but at home, unless there's a personal problem. I think you should be here, in my opinion. I totally agree with you that I think you're losing out on a lot of networking avenues. Job opportunities will come here. You never know who picks you. What connects will pick you. You never know that, right? Today you say, what, I'll sit at home. Don't sit at home. Guys, this is not the time to sit at home. Don't do that. Just keep meeting your friends. Come to companies. I'm sure there are connects. Go there, meet people. You never know which manager in which company would like you for your skills, right? So it's important that you are here so that you get the opportunity, which is there today. You have to just access the opportunity, right? Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We thank you, sir, for sharing your wonderful experiences about your company and the strategies, issues, and challenges faced by the business post-pandemic. It was an insightful session. Thank you for taking time and expressing your views on sustenance post-pandemic. I now request Dr. Harish Babu S., Principal, Nagarjuna Degree College and Director, Management Studies, NGI, to honor today's guest, Mr. Ajay Bhargav, sir. So we break for lunch. Lunch is served in the 4th floor. Please assemble back at 2 o'clock. We start the 3rd session, last session, at 2:10. Please go for lunch. The washroom is down the corridor in the same floor, 3rd floor. Please go for lunch in the 4th floor. We assemble back for the last session at 2 o'clock.